This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
You may want to consider shopping through Instacart this winter if you like watching snow more than walking in it, celebrate soup season, or own several pairs of fuzzy socks. Because staying home means staying warm, and some days just scream delivery. So this season, get everything you need right from the comfort of your robe. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees, exclusions, and terms apply.
Hello and welcome to the Niall 9 podcast. You're listening to episode 263 of the little podcast where we talk about music that we love and music topics that interest us. It's myself, Niall 9, and Andrea Cleary here. Andrea, how are you?
No, it's the 1st of October. How the hell do you think I am? I'm thriving.
Oh, it's spooky season.
I'm living it up.
That's our first reason to be cheerful.
Absolutely it is. It's fabulous. It's a grey day outside and you know what? I don't mind.
Good.
Yeah. It's good stuff. We did.
It's a bright autumn day actually today.
Yeah,
Unlike the
actually.
last few days.
I tell a lie. There is actually some sunshine. We did an episode last night actually on Juvenalia for our autumn recommendations, and I just really feel like in the zone now. I'm just like, yeah, this is... It's
Cozy
feeling
vibes.
good, you know. Everyone's back to school, which is exciting. The building's full of students. I'm teaching again. It's really back to school vibes. It's really good. I'm feeling energized for the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really changed the weather. The seasons really changed this week, so that was good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A very much a end of summer was actually last Saturday. We had a lovely lunch out in town, and I was in a t-shirt. I was like, "This is the 28th of September." A t-shirt that does not happen.
It's madness.
Quickly changed.
Come here and tell me, how was Indie Sleaze, and also happy birthday to Niall.
Thank you.
Who turned an extra year older on the day of Indie Sleaze.
I just got one extra year this year.
Just the one.
Just the one. Yeah, it was great. Indie Sleaze was great. It was probably. They've all been very different, very buzzy. Really enjoyed this one. Claire Beck was in DJing with me, and we kind of felt like we were running out of time. And it's always the way at the moment is there's just never enough time to play all the songs you want to play, especially in that last hour where you're like, there's certain marks you have to hit. Let's be fair. There's certain marks.
What was the last song of the night?
It ended up being Midnight City because. Basically, this is something I was going to talk about briefly on this podcast, which is the club closing times seem to be going backwards before they're going forwards. Now, apparently the license officer has been around recently and shutting venues down a bit earlier than normal. So we were told instead of a 3 a.m. finish, which is normal, 2:45 was kind of the latest we could push things. So we were kind of hoping for another song. I kind of have it's a small tradition because I've only done 3 of them or 4 of them now, and I didn't get to do it this time. But I try and finish the Indie Sleaze night with that song "Real Real" by Sleigh Bells.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a nice end of credits song. Here, I'll play it here for a second. Sure, why not? Sleigh. Have a heart Yeah, Sleigh Bells Real Real, that's the kind of song kind of try and finish with at the moment. It's kind of a nice closer, but not this
Lovely
time.
closer.
Ran out of time, unfortunately. But it was really great. It was really great. Yeah, it was the busiest one yet, funny enough. And also the first Saturday we've done. So I think that was probably had something to do with it. Also, I think it just suits September as well. It was my birthday.
I think so.
Nice.
You can wear your
Got a nice
blazer.
shout out. Huh?
You can wear your blazer.
I think we all have our natural seasons, I think, as well as our natural ages. And my natural season is definitely one that allows me to wear a nice jacket that I like.
Nice jacket, yeah.
That's when I'm at
You
my most
and your
comfortable.
autumn sweater.
Yeah, me and my autumn overshirt, shacket, probably. That's how I usually do things. Yeah, so lots of music ahead on this episode and also this week. Ireland Music Week is happening, and I did a piece yesterday about 12 acts to go see at Ireland Music Week. Lots of stuff happening there, so you can check that out. But also, I have another reason to be cheerful. Anyone paying attention to the Irish music internet or this week will have seen a reason to be cheerful is the return of Adebisi Shank. Some fine robot rock there from Wexford and Dublin. That is the three-piece Adebisi Shank, who announced their return after 10 years away. 10 years ago this week, they played their last ever shows in Whelan's, and so Vinny, Lar and Mick are getting back and doing it all again, so that's fun.
And will there be a third album of a band?
Well, there's new music, new
Adebisi
songs
Shank?
definitely promised.
Okay.
Don't know about an album, but new songs promised, and gigs as well. So originally I heard this a couple of years ago. I thought they were going to come back and do something, but I think it got dragged out a bit. But now it's happening. So that's great. Delighted to hear that's all going to happen. They actually, they had 3 albums already, because famously every album was very just self-descriptive. This is the 3rd album of a band called Adebisi Shank. This is the 2nd album of a band called, this is the album of a band called that. And so that's what they did a lot. And that's how they announced their return. This is the return of a band called Adebisi Shank. So that's nice.
I like that.
Old school.
Welcome back.
Reminds me of going to the Lower Deck back in the day. And actually, if you look at their first ever EP, I mean, Charlie XX got nothing on them. That's where she got her idea from. The cover of their EP says, "This is the cover of the EP of a band called Adebisi Shank," you know. That's where she gets it. All that.
Adebisi Shank, and it's the same except it's different because they're back.
That's what it should be called, yeah. Anyway, nice to see that. Thought it'd be reason to be cheerful right out the gate before
Amazing.
we get into other things. Do you know what? I actually this morning I read a thread on X or Twitter, it's still Twitter, kind of articulated a lot of what I feel about clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a reason to be cheerful, but I think it might be worth just for me even just to be able to say this to you so I can kind of make sense of it. There's something I've been thinking about a lot, and about how clubbing has changed so much since the pandemic, and how there's been the through line of club culture was kind of broken a little bit, and local small clubs, small acts, and this is true somewhat for live music as well. It actually is very true for live music as well, because, looking at the Oasis gigs recently and how people are spending ridiculous money for those kind of events, but they're not spending, there's a lot less of the small and medium kind of sized acts playing venues from around the world as well, because of cost of living, rising costs, all those kind of things. Loads of different reasons for that, which we can't really get into. But yeah, Manpower was a DJ and producer who put up this yesterday morning, says, The reason why mid and small clubs are closing is that 2 years of COVID closure broke the pipeline for young people finding club culture and increased the influence of corporate entertainment via streaming. When clubs reopened, the newest generation mainly only had a connection with brands instead of a subculture. This meant that the headline economics of rock concerts, EDM, business techno took over and squeezed out a model that was based on people connecting to venues and promoters and discovering music that way. The corporate mentality behind these giant-sized acts and venues is to maximise the income and minimise the amount of people sharing it. The closer they come to being the only game in town, the more they raise their fees, which has tightened the noose for small parties. We now have a situation where newcomers to dance music, and I guess you could say this is any genre really, will only come to a club for a big name they recognise. This means that big venues control who becomes a big name, where previously that often came from someone breaking out of the underground. The role of the underground as feeder to mainstream culture is being eradicated along with its capability to attract new participants. So clubs are closing and the mainstream leans further into monoculture based on sales and metrics. So for underground club culture to see a resurgence, big names need to play small venues for fees that let them make enough money to keep going. They also need to do it without making it all about themselves and to help the platform, the club or promoter. If a person connects to a club, they're a clubber. If they just connect to a megastar, they're something else. Clubbing is about clubs, the clue's in the title, and clubbing is under threat. So clubs and promoters need to be pushed into the foreground again. Big gigs, big DJs and big brands are all fine, but they're not clubbing and they're not under any threat larger than making mildly less obscene amounts of money. Clubs and grassroots promoters are under threat and big acts don't do their part to help them survive and bounce back. If you claim to be into club culture and you're not willing to drop your fee to preserve it in a moment of crisis, then I'm sorry, you're a liar. So there is a lot of talk in dance music at the moment, especially of like the exorbitant fees required for even small to medium clubs. So a lot of these, like you just can't, the economics don't work of those things when people are demanding of money because of, they want to play these small clubs, but they won't lower their fees. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff happening. So that's where that comes from. Yeah, interesting to just kind of note that. I think that might be, it's like an interesting one I've kind of been thinking about a lot is like especially that broken pipe kind of feature of the last few years is where, which has led to, in the first instance, it led to when people were going to gigs and they were acting not with grace, say throwing things on stage, shouting, making it all about them, not respecting the unspoken code of a social community that exists, because the pipe got broken, so then people weren't doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but I think that kind of like hyper individualization is like a natural result of a monoculture. And if people don't have subcultures and communities and scenes to get involved with, then I feel like seeking some kind of like difference is natural. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like seeking to set yourself apart from what you can perceive as
isn't it?
As a monoculture. Being a
teenager,
it's really important to have. And we know that music is such an integral part of subcultures. Not all subcultures, but most subcultures have a musical element, and we just don't have an environment right now that is conducive to no capitalist environment is fully supportive of a subculture, right? Kind of necessarily subcultures are, anti-establishment in one way or another. But we used to at least be able to go to emo gigs or go to punk gigs and now I do feel like, they're just or go to dance venues where there's like smaller artists that are like, part of a collective vibe. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad on the individual level of not being able to go out and enjoy yourself with like-minded people, but it's also sad for just thinking about what the future of youth culture is going to be in this country and others.
Well, I think people are doing that. They're creating their own subcultures and scenes.
They are, but it is not easy. It is kind of harder than ever to do it. It
is. I mean, everything is more difficult with the costs, and just connection with people is there's so much noise. Although, yeah, it's something that I think, especially around genres and stuff, where I was going to say to you, we should do an episode about shoegaze, because my God, shoegaze is just the common thread of every new band at the moment, and it has been for a while, so it might be something worth
we should
in that regard. definitely one to have a chat about. But yeah, just something that I read this morning. I thought it might be worth bringing into the conversation.
Sure.
So, speaking of new music, new communities, subcultures, our first song that we're going to pick on this month is from a little known artist. I put this up top, so you can blame me for this one, but I think it's a good one to start with. It's your choice. We're going to go with. It's a song from Bon Iver, who's a Bon Iver. Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
So first song in how many years? 5 years or something like that? Is it?
Something like that.
It's something.
It's been a while.
Yeah, and this song is called Speyside, and a return to some of his older sound. Let's play the start of it.
I know now that I can't make good how I wish I could. Go back and put me where you stood. Nothing's really something now, the whole thing's should. Serves to suffer, make a hole in my foot, and I hope you look as I fill my book. Oh, what a waste of wood.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
You may want to consider shopping through Instacart this winter if you like watching snow more than walking in it, celebrate soup season, or own several pairs of fuzzy socks. Because staying home means staying warm, and some days just scream delivery. So this season, get everything you need right from the comfort of your robe. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees, exclusions, and terms apply.
Nothing's really happened like I thought it would.
So it's Speyside area in Scotland, and I think there's maybe a little bit of that in the, is it a viola or a violin? There's maybe a little bit of like regional influence in the kind of vibe of it there. I'm really, so I was very much a fan of his like experimental album 22 a Million in 2016, but I was also a really big fan of the early albums for Emma Forever Ago, especially. And I think that this is really like a return to that sort of sound. So much so that I thought maybe this is a song that he had written back then, but it was actually written in 2021 as, you know, he very, very kind of loosely gives the reason as like, you know, an apology to some people that I hurt. And it's, I think it's a really beautiful song. It's very understated. It's just, you know, the voice, the guitar and the strings. And there's some really standout lines in it. I like, as I fill my book, what a waste of wood. I like the whole thing. Soot is really nice. There's this kind of, you know, crackling fire of lyrics kind of running through it. It's, you know, he's one of the kings of autumn, as we all know. And it's nice that he released this at this time of year when I think everybody's very primed for it, for a bit of a return. There's an EP coming on the 18th of October, Sable EP. Not quite sure yet how many songs it's going to have.
Three songs on it.
3 songs. And not sure if there's an album in the future kind of off the back of this, or maybe these are just songs that he needed to kind of, you know, exercise. But I would love if the next album was a bit of, you know, a return to this kind of sound. And it doesn't have to be fully that, you know, it doesn't have to be fully only acoustic guitars and his voice, but it wasn't really until I heard this song that I realized how much I missed him in this kind of guise, just very stripped down, just him and his feelings, you know, Bon Iver. So yeah, I was really impressed by this. I think it's a really lovely song. It's very, very sad, but very warm at the same time. So I'm a fan. You also picked this month. So
originally, yeah, I did.
Yes, and I texted you and I said, I'm taking the Bon Iver song. Sorry.
That's fine. I had others, but
you did.
Yeah, I again, yeah, just the simplicity of it. It's so hard thing to do, but make it sound so easy as well, and to be memorable. And he has a memorable voice, and his guitar playing and the small bit of instrumentation that's going on. But yeah, really just about the lyrics. Yeah, even like making what is wrong with me? Man, I'm so sorry. Like those, it's so simple, and it's so effective because you can really feel that he means it when he's saying that. So
yeah,
that's what I was impressed by. I thought I really enjoyed that part of it. And it's a return to the old Justin Vernon, Bon Iver, without, you know, anything having to. I think he does say that in the press release, something along the lines of having to almost wear the Bon Iver mask or whatever it was. He says like
I can understand that.
Yeah, before being Bon Iver meant playing a part. So sometimes you just need to strip it back, rip it up and start again, as they say. So that is Bon Iver and Speyside. Now I have 2 albums to recommend this month, and the first one is from Sam Shepard, aka Floating Points. He's back with a new album. Most recently, when we talked about Floating Points on this podcast and on the site and in the discourse in general, a lot of people would have been talking about the Promises album he made with Pharoah Sanders and the London Symphony Orchestra. A beautiful record. Will be probably synonymous with COVID as well for me. The second half of COVID, but really a beautiful record that transcends anything that was going on at the time. But for this one, Cascade, he's back doing his dance floor thing. And so Sam Shepard loves analog synthesizers and is an audiophile. He's a serious audiophile to the point where for the album launches for this, he had built his own sound system and brought it to a couple of venues in the UK to play, because he was like, this is what I want to. He's just like, most people don't do that stuff. Like they're so into it but he's built sound systems and all those kind of things from scratch. So he's a nerd who loves that, but he's a nerd who makes kind of tough analog dance floor music with synthesizers, and there's plenty of examples of that kind of music on this. A lot of arpeggios, tension-filled percussion, Giorgio Moroder kind of synths. I described this album as a cosmic orbit around the floating point planet. Here is a song called Fast Forward from the record. So yeah, very much like tough end of his sound. Like Floating Points typically would have come out with the kind of vacuum boogie and stuff like that, kind of the very much spacious, almost funk inspired housey dance music, with this kind of synthesizers. And now it's gone much tougher recently, and I guess that reflects what's going on in dance music as well, with a lot of his peers, with the likes of Caribou as well, especially, and playing them to DJ a lot as well. So here's another song, Key 103 from Cascade. Yeah, much of the album does a lot of very similar things. It's focused on that kind of propulsive, arpeggio, synthesizer music. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I probably enjoy this more than the Jamie XX album. I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed with the Jamie XX album. The singles were really good, but the album is a bit lightweight overall. I see there's a lot of discourse, capital letters, about Jamie XX and his music at the moment, and how
keep calling him Jamie XCX.
Maybe he shouldn't be using certain samples. Or I read a couple of things that really annoyed me. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, if you like, there's a dance music writer called Ben Cardew who has a Substack, and he basically wrote a piece. He was like he doesn't like Jamie XX already, but he kind of wrote a piece about why, like, he's like, oh, I pressed play on this and I didn't like it already, but it was like, it's like kind of bending over backwards to try not to like something almost. It's like, all right, grand.
What's the thing about him not being able to use certain samples?
Well, I think, again, it just comes back to, like, if you're a dance music producer who's a white dance music producer and who is working a lot with a lot of black artists, and like on this record, Honey Dijon, like John Glacier, Kelsey Lou, Robin is on this as well. So, like, Jamie XX is part of dance music culture, whether you agree with it or not. And a lot of people, critics who are more underground focused, are like, well, he shouldn't be able to sample this really famous song, dance music song, is black dance music song, the first track. It was like, but he explains that himself. He's like, this is how I start my DJ sets. Sorry, just so I'm clear,
because he is a kind of a relatively mainstream white artist, he shouldn't be, or he should think before he samples black artists. But these black artists are already kind of well known within dance culture.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, these, like, it's just, maybe it was for my detection of this piece, which I read, which kind of so annoyed me so much. It was like, you know, who gets to sample these songs? Who gets to say?
We've been having this conversation since the fucking 80s. We've been having this conversation since fucking hip hop. Like, who gets to sample is a conversation that I do think needs to just, like, we need to just make a decision and stop talking about it, because, like, the sampling conversation is like, it just sustains itself. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
sorry, the piece was like,
maybe you just don't like dance music. I'm sorry. Like, and I'm not a Jamie fan by any means, but, like, I don't know, like, if you want there to be rules, then write out the rules, you know. It's
well,
that guy feels weird to me.
Ben Cardew, like, I like his writing a lot of the time, but it just felt like he decided he didn't like Jamie XX, and he had to justify some reasons why. So on the first song on the record, which is Wanna, he samples a track called Rip Groove, right? And it's a real well-known dance track, but, like, it's an intro. So to me, it was like scene setting. It uses it in a way that's kind of like, it's in the ether of the song, and it's very much like an intro kind of song. But
yeah,
Cardew's piece was
and
like,
very
at the
well
same
known.
time, did Jamie XX really need to sample something so obvious on the opening song of his album? Was like, I mean, he does talk about why he picked that song. Like, he has explained it. I wanted to have something that was very recognizable, especially in the UK, then flip it on its head and sort of take people by surprise and sort of maybe emotionally jerk a big crowd in a DJ set. Jamie XX plays big festivals. He plays big DJ sets. I think that's part of the problem here for people who are like the gatekeepers who are kind of going, well, I mean, he plays festivals and like maybe he shouldn't be just playing this really obvious sample. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off track here a bit, but
no,
it
that
did annoy
all
me a
sounds
bit.
ridiculous.
Just a discourse around it. I was like, I don't think the album is very good, the Jamie XX one. I think it has some good songs on it. That Robin song, Life, brilliant. The one with the avalanches, All You Children, is good, although again, there's an issue with that sample. Baddie on the Floor with Honey Dijon, really good. The one where the XX members come in and waited all night, like that. A few others on it I liked. But yeah, it's just like there's so much of that in the dance music discourse. It's like, this isn't cool enough. This is too well known. We can't possibly give it any sort of kudos in any way. Like, you're like, well, look, somebody has to bridge a gap, and that's the way music works. Like, everything can't be underground and cool as fuck that no one knows about it. You know, things cross over. You know, and you're seeing that now. And we're talking about the dance music culture, like stuff at the, you know, those big venues where big, like, artists who are playing UK garage and stuff are playing these huge venues, and you're like, you know, this is how it is at the moment. What do you want to do about it? Like, so
there's a piece in The Guardian from a year ago, and it's an interview with, are they double 99? Sorry, I'm not, but it's like, we took the bass line from Mozart, how double 99 made Rip Groove. Like, I don't understand the argument at all. Like, so much of sampling culture is taking things that are popular and reappropriating them for your needs. And that's kind of what it is. And if you don't like that, then maybe you don't like dance music.
Yeah.
Like, that,
well,
that doesn't make sense
I think
to me.
there's just so much, like, it's like any, I've talked about this recently with my pal Gav about like how, you know, sports, football journalism or football discourse is like that as well. It's like the toxicity of it. If there's enough of it, there's going to be some toxicity. So again, there's some of that. Like, it's like, I can't. And I started to feel bad at first. I was like, should I be mustering more, you know, upset at the fact that I don't like this Jamie XX record? And I was like, no, I just don't like it as much as, like, it doesn't speak to like the wider world of dance music history. It's not a notch in the canon or whatever. It's just a guy who plays festivals, who clearly collaborates with loads of different artists, including black artists, and who makes bops a lot of the time. And that's fine. Like, it's fine.
You don't have to
it's
like
okay.
it.
Sorry, the piece that prompted me to start talking this is called Jamie XX History and the Lollification of Dance Music. I'm like, come on. Like,
oh, come on, he's hardly
somebody had to fill a column that week, I think, is what I'm gathering. Anyway, we'll move on.
Anyway.
From, the Floating Points record, Cascade, I really enjoyed it. Again, that was why, I brought the Ben Cardew thing up because he criticised this
we weren't even
record.
talking about Jamie XX.
Yeah. So he criticized the Cascade record, saying that he basically rips off I Feel Love. I was like, that's not how it works. Like, just because a song has an arpeggiated synthesizer line, it doesn't mean it's ripping off I Feel Love. Unless you're
also,
directly...
aren't all songs ripping off I Feel Love in one way or another?
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all doing that constantly?
See, also, it says he has a problem with the Caribou recent. See, also, Floating Points Ultra, will this do use of the iconic I Feel Love synth line on his new album Cascade, which isn't really there. It's like, it sounds a bit like it because it's an arpeggio. It's not the exact same. Anyway, that was where it
I think you need
from.
to unsubscribe from this Substack.
No, I'm going to hate read it now. I want to see what comes next. I'm sure there is good writing there. I obviously subscribe to the series, but it just got
Beach
me
Boys, a
at the time
critical retrospective. Okay,
Man, this sick
my
film.
next
Okay.
choice is Niall.
You have been listening to a preview of the Niall 9 podcast. To hear this episode in full, sign up to patreon.com/Niall 9.
From real inspiration to digital iteration to achieving perfection. Make it right the first time with a digital twin. Transform the everyday with Siemens.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Maquillage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a perfect match in seconds, customized to your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, Woke Up Like This is our best-selling foundation for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Thanks for listening to the 909 podcast. If you like what we do, why not consider supporting us at patreon.com/909.